I'm very pleased to introduce Manolis. Let's hear about what you're doing with Uber.
Thanks very much. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I'll talk briefly about the opportunity I think technology is introducing into the space of mobility globally, and also what this could mean for Greece. Actually, interestingly, a few days ago only, Uber turned 8 years old, and it really feels like yesterday since this whole sector started. Nowadays, the situation is that mobility applications are actually truly reinventing the face of urban transportation, and at the same time, they're providing millions of people with economic opportunities. And as an example, Uber globally right now operates in more than 600 cities, and more than 3 million drivers drive on its platform. And every single day, there are more than 15 million trips on the application. And if I could give you a bit of a glimpse into the future of where things could go, last year we announced our Uber Air project, which aims at creating a network of electric aircraft, which are going to be used by people to move from cities to suburbs. And we aim to have the first commercial flights in 2023, so quite soon. But that's a bit maybe too far ahead into the future, so let me focus on where we stand right now. So as we speak, I think the mission is very clear, and it's being the single platform for moving from one point to any other point within the city. And I think that modern urban mobility has to do with three main things. The first is being multimodal. It's no longer just booking a car on some smartphone application. It's rather choosing the best possible combination of means to move within the city, which can mean taxis, scooters, bicycles, trains, public transport, and anything else. And actually, we recently announced that we're launching our bicycle rental service in Berlin this fall, which is going to be followed by 10 more cities by end of year in Europe. Second, I think that mobility now is around less car ownership. It's about more freedom and more opportunity. I think we're moving gradually away from this idea that mobility is sort of a product which you have to own, which is the car, and it's becoming a service which is available everywhere and for everyone. And last, I think that the final point of mobility nowadays is sharing. Why two people going in the same direction at the same time cannot share the same vehicle, right? And that would be fantastic in terms of reducing pollution and congestion, which are huge problems and are becoming even bigger in the future. So how do we get to that vision of modern mobility in the world? My answer would be through responsible growth. I would call it collaborative growth, if I may. It's clear, and we've seen it around the world in the last years, that no company and no organization can do it alone. Instead, I think the whole sector needs to be true partners to governments and cities across the world. And at this point, allow me to focus a bit on Greece, our home country. So I think in Greece, new mobility solutions, additional to the existing ones, and I'd like to stress that, are extremely crucial for three main reasons: tourism, employment, and affordability. And on our part, this has been our mission here all along. We want to create a product which the tourists use and are used to using across the world, which is going to enhance Greece's tourist product in turn. We want to offer Greeks opportunities of employment, which is extremely important as we realized during recession and unemployment. And last, we want to offer affordable, reliable, and safe transportation options, again, very crucial during times of recession. And to my great satisfaction, last year alone, Uber was able to create more than 1,500 jobs in Greece, more than 250 SMEs, and more than 100,000 local customers, Greek customers, use their application every week to get around. So the obvious question is, where is Uber right now in Greece? As you might be aware, due to recent regulation a couple of months ago, which was not very favorable to tech platforms such as ours, we made a very difficult decision around pausing one of our two products, UberX. And to be sure, indeed, there is very rapid change in the world, in the mobility sector, and mostly so in Europe. So every single European country, I think, is faced with the same question, which is how do I handle this change? And I'd like to use an example of a country which is very similar to Greece, I would argue, in many ways, also reliant on tourism, I think a similar size and population, and also geographically fairly close. And that country is Croatia. So a few weeks ago, I think 2 weeks ago if I'm not mistaken, Croatia enacted new, modern, fair, comprehensive transportation regulation. And what it does, to be very brief, is that it puts all operators, be that traditional taxis or new tech platforms, everybody who's in the space, under a single umbrella and sets the same requirements for everybody, for example, around driver exams, insurance, and vehicle specifications. And Croatia is certainly only one example. If you look around Europe, you see right now France, Portugal, Finland, Estonia, really modernizing their transportation regulation in a way that both accommodates technology and innovation and ensures fair outcomes for all stakeholders involved. And personally, I think that's the way to go. In conclusion, I think that there are 3 ways basically to deal with change. One is to ignore it, the second is to block it, and the third is to manage it. And in my view, managing it is about open conversation, debate, collaboration, which in turn is going to lead to better outcomes and better, more holistic and fairer decisions. And I'd like to say that this, I think, speaking on behalf of the whole sector, if I may, is the aspiration of all of us. Of course, ultimately, it's up to governments to regulate any sector, and of course also transportation sector. But on our part, we aspire to be able to make really meaningful contributions in that domain, given that we have vast experience and learnings from more than 600 cities across the world. Thank you very much, and I'm at your disposal for any questions. Thank you.